This is the sound of the Killa beatbox body part sample pack. Over 120 loops, samples, and one-shots for your music production. Exclusively on Splice.
AG Dentistry. In my line of work, not only does what I do with the mouth get reviewed, it's also my instrument. And it's beyond important to me that my teeth get the professional service they deserve. The AG family provide expert dentistry, whether it's NHS or cosmetic. They're the finest in London. Head over to agdentistry.co.uk for more information on treatments and prices. Tell them Killa sent you, okay?
Killa podcast. KillaOfficial.com.
Beatbox created.
Killa.
And we're here to talk about world music and street culture.
Killa podcast.
Not quite as good.
I'll tell you what, though, I mean, you know, for the 4-4 in you, that's not too bad. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Killa podcast coming to you live and direct from central London, as you should all jolly well know by now. If you don't get to know, this is the Killa podcast, and we are live and direct. A good friend of mine, he puts a J into the Robinson. Nightbass is Top Gun.
The Welsh Wizard.
The Welsh Wizard.
As coined by DJ Zink himself.
Jay Robinson in the building. What are you saying?
All right.
Yeah.
Nice to be here. It is mad. Yeah, I do. I listen to the podcast. It's good to be here. Good to be on it.
Dude, I mean, like, when you think about it, it's like you travelled a bit of a way. It's good to know that I'm hitting the higher reaches.
Yeah. It is, yeah. It's quite a journey from Colwyn Bay.
Colwyn Bay, which is...
North Wales. Yeah, it's quite a distance away. It's not really the mecca of dance music or any music.
Although I will say, like, a lot of the kind of more further field spots, they tend to, like... They're magnets for, like, specific genres, aren't they?
Yeah, like the whole Cornwall Aphex Twin thing and, you know, all that. I don't know. Do you know what it is? I think a lot of places now, you probably don't get it so much. Apart from with, like, you know, like grime and stuff in London. I think everyone's so well connected now. It doesn't really matter where you're from. Everybody's got access to everything all the time.
Yeah, and really quick as well, which is the order of the day.
Yeah, instant. Everything's instant now, isn't it?
Did you come up through, like, the genre of choice? Hey, by the way, for those of you who do not know, like, this is Rinse FM affiliate, Zinc affiliate. Nightbass is like the bespoke house. I mean, you define it. Define the genre.
It's just bass heavy house music.
It is, isn't it? It's bass
just house
heavy.
music.
Because I had this conversation. There's the thing, see, like, I had this conversation with Conrank, and it's like bass music. It's bass music, but then define bass music is quite hard to.
Yeah, it just is what it is. It's just bass heavy house. I mean, I just love 4/4 driving beats. Every so often I dabble in breaks, but it's not really me that much. I mean, I do get a lot of people complain about that, I think, to me, saying I don't make enough breaks, but to me it's all about the 4/4 thing. Whereas breaks, I love, like, old hip hop. To me, that's what a break beat should be used for. It's either old hip hop or cool old jungle. That's the stuff I like. That's like that. For me, what I make personally is, you know, Jay Robinson. That's all 4/4 driving rhythms.
It's really jacking as well. Like,
That's yeah. I like a bit of funk in it. I find there's quite a lot of, especially now with all this bass house stuff. It's getting big in America.
Yeah.
A lot of it's quite static. I'm very just, but I like to put, you know, I like a bit of swing in it.
Yeah.
I like it to sound a bit rubbish as well. Like a bit, like it's like those old 90s hip hop things where they're, you know, you listen to like a Jay Dilla, you listen to Donuts Jay Dilla, and it's all just rough and all over the place, and something will just come in out of nowhere and hit you in the face, and you're like, oh, it's really cool. And
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, it's funny how the Jay Dilla, like, phenomenal. It's like, how does a guy get away with that?
I know.
And make it sound so natural.
And some of it is literally just a song rearranged. There's no, like, he hasn't done anything. Hasn't really added any drums, nothing. It's just a song rearrangement.
Yeah.
It's so cool. It's the name, innit? It's the name. It's the
funk.
Yeah. He just caught that sound, didn't he? It's hard. Yeah, it's hard to explain. And sounds in it that just don't belong there. Like an alarm sound over a really nice beat going. Wee! Why have you put that in there? But it sounds cool. It's weird. Yeah, it's weird.
It's true. And I think that, like, I know you were saying then just about the kind of the crunchiness of what you go for. Breaks tend to do that. I mean, like with Amen, drum and bass and that, they're really, I mean, they like layer their amens to the point of like,
so
and
it's
then
nice and thick.
It's nice and so you don't go down that route with yours so much, no?
In my music, I do use a large part of how I've achieved my sound, and I'd like to think it's quite different to other people, because I mean, I'm always worried it doesn't sound as good.
Mate, it sounds so distinctive. Swear down.
But then see, that's all part of that's just years of me being completely self-taught. I've done everything myself in Cubase. I haven't really. It's only recently since management have taken me on and, you know, trying to develop me a bit more that I've started learning a lot more, but through more, you know, learning things, proper production techniques rather than just what I've figured out to do on my computer in my little studio. But what I've done is made this sound by, it is like you said, layering stuff. There's a lot of layers in my music, and especially in drums. Like I find if you can get, say, I could have 4 or 5 different drum loops that I've chopped up, rearranged, and then kind of melted them. I like my sound to sound like it's kind of gelled together, like it's just always been what it is. Like a drum loop,
like
could
processed
be
and refined to the point where it's like
it is just what it's not like you can tell all the separate parts. It's just
because it sounds minimal.
Stuff. Yeah, I know, but there's loads of layers. That's kind of
what you get off them.
Yeah, I think a big kick drum and then just. I mean, there's a certain people who know my production well, especially of the past like 6 months. I found this snare sample, and I can't remember what I called it I've saved it, and it's called like Clunker or something. And every time I make a track, I just can't help but put it in there. It's just always in there.
Dude, I have that with beatboxing all the time.
You just know it's a stock sound. But
to the point where you think to yourself, geez, is anyone else bought this? Because I'm not, you know?
Yeah, that's it. Totally. I think that a lot, and there's a kick drum as well, and I just reprocess it in different ways. But no matter what you layer it with, it sounds good. And
is that habit? Like having,
I don't really know.
Or is that just like your go-to in your sound library?
Yeah, I don't. I just like the way it sounds. And there's a kick when I'm looking through kicks. I'll be looking through them. I think sometimes it'll happen really organically, and I'll just find a kick. Think that's perfect. Right, carry on making the track. 2 hours, it's done or whatever. Other times I'm like, that's just not right. And then I'll reach back for this one kick. And if you know my production, you'll know it because you'll have heard it. And it just always sounds how I want it to sound. But then the problem I get with that is, if I use that kick, don't treat it with anything, leave it exactly how it is on, say, 2 songs. When I mix them, then you'll get weird phasing issues because the kick's obviously on top of itself, so it tries to cancel it. Which is annoying. Yeah. But then,
which also happens with bass as well. You know?
It happens with everything. I'm sure if people just stick to one sound. I mean, everyone's got their own sound, don't they? Well, hopefully. Yeah. Because that's the whole reason we're doing this, isn't it? To express yourself. So
exactly, yeah. I'd like to think so, isn't it? But, you know, with you, I mean, you just used a couple of hours to get your things done. But I'm like once you know your sound library and you know how you best work, those processes, it's almost, it almost becomes like second nature, doesn't it?
Yeah, it just rolls off. I mean, you get it with. Yeah, I used to do a lot of remixes, and I think I've learned a technique for doing remixes that just... See, I annoy quite a lot of labels and stuff with this, because I'll know within 10 minutes of loading parts up whether I'm going to get anything or not.
This happened with us before.
Yeah.
This happened with us before, didn't it?
I just know if it's going to work.
Is that intuition, measuring up against the kind of sounds that you know you work by and what you're presented with?
I think more than anything... See, my manager, Mickey, he always says... I never really thought of it like this, but this is how it is. I'll hear something. It could be anything. I could hear literally a 2-second spoken word piece of like audio or a drum loop, and then I can hear the whole track in my head instantly. And then I know that's the direction I want to go in. And if either the people who I'm working with aren't happy to go in that direction, or for some reason it doesn't quite work, that's it then. It's dead to me. I can't do anything with it. That's why I've got so much music on my hard drive that's just never... Everyone does, but I've got so much stuff that's never going to get finished. And a lot of them I've managed to, recycle things and use them. But now, obviously, I'm trying to branch out more into working with vocalists and producing for other people. So I've got I've got so much down-tempo stuff that's now, I don't know, I've probably sent it to you before.
Yeah, you sent me
There's
some stuff.
loads that I've just never, it just sits there, doesn't it?
It does indeed.
There's so much music out there that without... I think a lot of time as well, there's so much stuff out there that people are just putting anything out.
Yeah. And then it just all sits out there instead.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. People just say, just get it out there.
Yeah,
but
I know.
It's become more about, it's now in music, it seems to be more about all the other stuff and not the actual music itself. The music itself is kind of like a byproduct of Instagram and Twitter. And I sound like an old man here complaining, but it is a shame, because to me, the whole point of doing this, the whole reason I'm doing this is because I like music and I want to make some good music. I want to make one good song. That's my I always say it's my aim to make one good song. But people seem to be more caught up on, generating followers and making sure your socials all look good, and then making sure that that's all branded well, which I can see is important when it's your business and your livelihood is music. You've got to have a presence. I know that.
Yeah.
But then
if you're fronting your personality has to be driven.
It surely all comes down to what the music's doing, though.
I'll tell you something though. One thing I have noticed, like on your Facebook, you're always throwing up videos of, and arguably, like if you've got loads of beats that you kind of want to see the light of day, but you want it kind of top and tailed right with the in a brand. Associated way, like your social medias, like Facebook, man, you could like do loads of videos.
Yeah, of course.
Because then they just become these donuts, the J Dilla donuts of like disposable kind of stuff that you've done.
Yeah. That tends to be what happens is, if anybody's watching this who has me on Facebook, anything. What happens is I'll be making something, I'll be really excited about it and think, do you know what, this is really cool. I'll do it, see if anybody else thinks this is cool. Because I get in my own head thinking, nah, it can't be that easy, because I'll have come up with it in like 10 minutes and you think that's really cool. And then I'll do it, keep working on it for a bit, and then I'll just be completely bored of it. And there'll just be that 1 second where I think, nah, it's done. I'm not doing this. And then I'll scrap the whole thing.
So you literally, you almost like, your momentum weakens and you're like, meh.
Yeah. It has to. Usually, the harder I work on something and the longer it takes me, the less likely it is it's going to see the light of day. But purely because it didn't happen. Everything seems to happen organically, the songs that I've done that have gone anywhere and done anything,
Is that habit or is that...
I think it's just the way I like to work. Yeah. I think it's just the way I work.
Because you must pull out at least 4 or 5. If you're working 2 hours a day and you've got, 6 hours in the studio, your time's precious and you're knocking them out. You must be knocking quite a few out in any given moment.
Yeah.
Just an example of time-wise. I'm not suggesting for a second you're a 6-hour kind of guy.
No, a bit longer than that. That's you've got to spend the time in the studio. There's no quick way, is there?
No.
I think it's hard to say. I mean, before I stopped working a 9 to 5, I worked shifts, but before I stopped doing that, every spare moment I had was in the studio all the time. So I would get in the studio, I'd be like, right, I'd get home from work at say 11:15 at night and think, right, I've got like 3 hours here. I go for 3 hours, I'll absolutely hammer it, see what I can do, go to bed, get up at 7, get back in the studio till 1, and I'll go back to work. And I did that for 5 years. And I really nailed it, nailed the production. But then also the quality suffered because I couldn't spend time on things. And as much as I say I like to finish things quickly, once I've got the whole track there, that to me is basically finished. If I have to just dip in and do a little bit of mixing on something, or I have to, go and change something, that's easy. That's not really anything. I don't class that as doing any work.
Like top and tail.
Yeah. Generating ideas is the hard part. So I would do so much of that. But now I found, since I've stopped working, now my whole focus is in the studio. I mean, I've really sharpened up my skills and I'm focusing more on, generating ideas is still obviously paramount because without the idea.
How easy is it to, absolutely. How easy is it to come up with ideas on Cubase, like as a I mean, I guess you've.
I imagine it's terrible.
It's Cubase you use, right?
It is Cubase, yeah.
But you don't. You go outside of Cubase to.
I use. Basically, and this is one thing I'm going to cover in. I've been taken on by Native Instruments as an artist, and they sent me some stuff.
Oh, wicked!
So I'm going to do a set of tutorial videos, and I'm actually going to go into this.
Oh,
but
boom!
So what I do is I have Cubase as like my master program, and then I do use Ableton. We record on Ableton here. I know I'm pointing at it, but you can't see it.
Can't see it. Yeah, it can't see itself half the time. Strapped up as we can see.
Well, I use Ableton for like this is my manager Mickey's helped me out a lot with this. He's got loads of drum racks in Ableton and stuff which I use, and then I use a lot of the. I love that feature where you can just drag a vocal in, slice it to MIDI, and then it's on the keys, isn't it? Oh, yeah. Unreal. It's just so quick. Dude, in Cubase, that would take me all day.
Yeah.
But Cubase isn't the quickest.
That's why I asked about
it's not the quickest
process. Yeah.
But I've built over the past 10 years that I've been doing this, I've built up a sample library where I just know where everything is now because obviously I've used it for so long. So there's a thing in Cubase called Media Bay, which I suppose it's just exactly like the browser in Ableton. Logic's probably got the same thing. But that's obviously got all my samples in it, so I could just scroll through things really quickly, check them all out.
Is that connected with Splice and those other kind of...
Well, I do use Splice, but I built... We're going deeper and deeper into this now.
Into the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
The Jay Robinson rabbit hole.
I built a studio PC. I don't use Mac. I use Mac for traveling and if I'm, my laptop and stuff. So Mac, I've got an iPhone. I love Apple. Hate producing on it. I can't do it. Really? I really hate it. I don't know why. I just hate the feel of it, and I hate the fact that I can't just upgrade it. I can't just open it up. Well, I could, but like if you've got a unibody MacBook Pro, it's a pain in the ass to sort it out. I can't do that. So I just built a studio PC. I keep upgrading it. So I move everything from Splice and stuff off a Mac onto my PC first, but then arrange it all like that.
Oh, okay.
So navigating through Splice is a bit awkward for me because I have to plug it in through the sound. I do use it.
Having two different systems.
Yeah, exactly.
But then you're committing, and you're not. It's like ordering from a grocery store as opposed to going there and browsing.
Yeah,
you've got what you want. You've gone for specifics. And
I know what I'm having. And yeah,
you know what you're having for tea.
That's it, lad. Put tea. I use battery and stuff as well.
Yeah,
for a bit of drum processing. But I've got a template set, which is another thing people will see if they ever watch these videos that are coming out. I've got a template set up, so I've got basically group channels, and I use a lot of parallel compression. Like they call it New York compression. It's all hip hop producers.
That's right. Yeah.
So I use that for all my drums. So I've got that automatically set up, and then say like 15 drum tracks, and I'll drag a load of my drums straight into the window. What I'll do first, if it's just an original track, if I haven't got an idea, I'll just think, right, I'll just go and get some drums. Go get a load of drums, drag them in. Not listen to them all together or anything. Don't put them in the grid. Just drag them all in. And then once I've got enough and think, right, I can make a cool loop with this, I'll go in, make the loop, chop up, Rex files?
No.
Well, Rex files are amazing.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's the key.
Right, okay.
What you'll find in sample packs in Rex files, they'll put their best drums in the Rex files, but they don't put them as single samples. But Rex files, when they load up, is like a tiny little folder in your program window. Yeah, so when you double click in it in Cubase, anyway, it opens up and you get all the individual parts. Then
fire.
So
handy. I've
used that loads. I've nicked loads of stuff out of Rex files using that, but people don't seem to do it. No. Now they will.
Sleepers, including me.
It's a good way of getting loads of stuff quickly, and so that's what I'll do. Chop all the drums up, make a drum loop, and then think, what direction I'm feeling now. Think, let's get something going. Now I've got complete control. I mean, that is just, have you used it?
No. Well, talk to me unbelievable. Can I just reverse a little bit? So, when it comes to your drums, that's that covered. But what about like synths and things like that? Because it's like, especially in the house genre, it's like everything, even the smallest tweak on a kick, all of a sudden falls into some beatport obscurity. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when you're doing synths and stuff, isn't there like you know what I mean? Like, do you lean towards synths with the intention that you obviously you want it to sound like you, and you don't want to be restricted on your creative output, but is there a particular type of synths that fit the order of the day?
I use a lot of analog stuff. I mean,
out of the box.
Yeah. Usually, I'll start off my absolute I love, and you'll notice it now if you haven't before. I love just a sustained pad sound, just a wah.
Yeah, you do.
Just running.
Yeah.
And then I'll have the bass notes playing a melody underneath it
Yeah.
or some top notes.
Yeah.
Well, that's all the Juno 106. And I use it
really?
because that's like the bed for all my pads. And because it's slightly it's a bit knackered and slightly out of tune. I think one of the voice chips on it's a bit dead. But it's slightly out of tune so that when it layers with everything else, it gives it kind of like a wonky sound, which people
Oh, he's really laying cats out bags right now. Ooh,
well,
that's
people.
Well, you can't
No one's got
replicate-
my Juno.
Yeah,
so.
you can't replicate that.
No one will ever. Yeah, no one will be able to copy it.
And the nimble fingers,
Well, yeah.
or rather,
And
the
also,
sustained fingers.
That's it. Just hold on chord forever. But I've actually figured out now, and I didn't know if something else I'll cover. I didn't know if this was a well-known thing. I haven't searched, but I can use the complete control to control all my hardware. So it means that on complete control, when you go into the browser, you can set scales and stuff. So you've just got one finger chords or arps. You can play arpeggiators just by holding the keys down and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I figured out how to actually use that within the software to control hardware to come back in to Cubase, which is powerful now because now I can have like, I've got my stock pads that I like, and one of them is just like a Halion thing, like a choir sound. I love that sound. So I'll have that loaded up inside Complete Control, and then I'll have Complete Control routed to my Juno, to my K-Station, and to my Korg MS2000.
and then back on itself.
Yeah, and then I can have literally 4 synth sounds all playing off just one finger. There's a chord.
Playing live back into itself.
Yeah, so I can have those chord sustained
Yeah,
pad
get it.
sounds you hear. It's just me now. Now it is. It didn't used to be. I used to have to do everything one by one.
Yeah.
But now it's just hold one note, and that's it. I've got a whole breakdown
Orchestral
there.
kind of.
Yeah, and then I've also, you can then use that MIDI, put it to another Complete Control, send that to an arpeggiator, run that back to the Juno. So once all those pads have finished recording, I can record an arpeggiator off the Juno and just layer that in. It's just so quick.
Oh, that's
And
right.
like, this is, yeah, I think...
That's with a little bit of back end theory. That would normally take you would definitely take me at least an hour to be like going through all those components and then layering them up.
Yeah,
all
it used to be the
order.
same for me, mate, honestly. And then now it's just... Yeah, technology is incredible, isn't it?
It's incredible.
But usually, yeah, that's my synths will start with the Juno. If I'm going to go for something like with a breakdown or chords, if I'm going just for bass, I've kind of developed this is over the years I've been doing this. I've developed a plug-in chain that basically I use on every bass element I've got, and that's like my
your
secret weapon. Yeah,
That's your special diners, drive-ins, and dives ingredient.
yeah.
Mama's
It's,
made.
Yeah, and I think there's a few plugins on there that would probably... I mean, I'll have just for a single... I like kind of old trancey sounds that are like little beep sounds and then make them into a riff. Like that, you wouldn't believe the amount of processing I'll put on one of them. And all it is just a boop sounds that'll go boop, 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 boop. Or just nothing, just a riff.
The way it
and it's so simple.
arpeggiates, you mean?
Yeah, but it sounds so simple, but the amount of processing on it, I'm not very economical when it comes to processing. But this is the joy of having a PC that I can upgrade. Because RAM's just infinite, isn't it?
Infinite, yeah.
So it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
It is true. Yeah. With such processing on the smallest details, what you end up actually having down is a distilled, filtered, all-encompassing sound with the snares and the kicks, the drums, all to back it. That's the ultimate aim, isn't it? Is that the ultimate aim for you, that you have something that is so well refined and everything's been treated, you know where it's come from, and it's got that J. Robinson stamp?
Do you know what the main aim for me is? I don't want to overthink it. I love all types of music, and I'm going to sound really, shitty here on certain things. But I've got no time for sitting tuning a kick drum for 2 hours to make it sit right in a techno track. That, to me, is not what making music is about. For me.
Yeah, I get
for
you.
some people, it is.
110%.
Some people, it is. And for those people, credit to you, because I don't know how you do it. Yeah. I just want to get in there, make something that I like, and do it in a way that feels organic and feels like I'm not just forcing it.
Do people second guess that when they are so kind of... you seem very much in control of that. But do you think some people that's why they going into clinically, like breaking down a snare? Is it?
I think people just think that they have to do it. I think people think that that there's a way to make music. There is one way, and I mean, by now, surely we've all learned there isn't. You can listen to some. I mean, you'll listen to like old Bessie Smith or, old recordings of jazz and stuff, and it sounds crap. Like it's been
But the
recorded.
energy's right.
Exactly, it sounds like it's been recorded in a bucket, and like somebody's going all the way through it. But it's good because the content is there. There's something there. There's a feeling there that works, and to me, that's what it's all about. Is
Energy.
that feeling, that vibe that you get off something. And I kind of feel like I've nearly got. I mean, I think you could tell if it was my song, but I'm kind of chasing that thing where you instantly know it's me and it couldn't be anyone else because nobody else could do that. Like when you hear an Aphex Twin record and you know, there's no way you're listening to that and thinking, oh, I wonder who this is. You know it's Aphex Twin.
It's true.
Because it is. Or Flying Lotus is the same.
Yeah,
His production is just unbelievable.
Yeah.
And you know the second you hear it, it's got to be him.
Is that a producer's perspective? Like, I got a feeling everyone would know what a Dre record would sound like.
Yeah, you just know they're so clean. And...
Yeah. Do you reckon that's from a producer's point of view?
Yeah, probably. It probably is. I mean, you know yourself, when you make music, you listen to music differently. It changes the way you listen to things.
Yeah.
All things.
Yeah, it's true.
And a lot of the time you think, how did they do that? How does that sound so good? That's usually what I'm thinking. Especially when you hear minimal, like Dre's stuff, some of it is quite minimal. Like, is it Lightspeed on the 2001 album?
I know he only uses like 4 channels.
And it's just like, all it is a guitar just going bimp, 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 and a beat and then a synth, that's it. And it just sounds so full. It's
quite scary, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sometimes when you put those old records on, you chuck them on like monitor speakers, sometimes when you listen to them for what they are, they're so minimal, so wide, so like you hear the things that you wouldn't hear in a club and you're like, Jesus, that's what I've been dancing to for the last
and it bangs in a club. Yeah, I know. That's what a lot of old Dilla stuff's like when you listen to it. And old Busta Rhymes. I was listening to is it Still Shining off The Coming? The one Jay Dilla produced. And like every single bar's different and like a weird flow. I was listening to that on my monitors and thinking,
that's an awesome tune.
Amazing. One of my favourites, that. I was thinking, why? Like, that doesn't sound particularly mixed particularly well. Yeah, other tracks on this album sound banging.
But way
this track has got so much, the feeling in it. But to me, that's what humans... It's imperfection, isn't it? Everything's imperfect.
Because what happens is your brain fills in the gaps.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. And that's what I think is the appeal of, like, old samples, is when you listen to, like, an old record, like an old hip-hop record, saying it's used a sample, or jungle... You're right, your brain fills in those gaps and makes it sound really good, when in actual fact it probably doesn't sound that good in a lot of ways.
Like, there's the first tune on that album, on the J Dilla one, with Buster on it, with the Bees tune,
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, like, you could barely hear the kick. It just sounds like stomping.
Yeah.
It's just rude.
On a laptop speaker, it's just nothing.
That's a big fill in the gap moment when you're just like, hold on a minute.
It's mad, isn't it?
This is,
And then also when we were listening to these things, like growing up, I could have listened to something like kids do now, download it off YouTube. It sounds absolutely terrible quality in that, but who cares? They don't care. No. They're listening to Darksea on their phone with their mates out, having a few pints of cider behind someone's
they don't
house.
care. Yeah.
No, they just want the vibe of the track to be there. And again, that's why sound quality... if you're going to go down the ultra-professional route and be like that, that's cool, but all the consumer cares about is the vibe of the track, innit?
It's vibe.
That's what you need. That's
speed.
The spark. That's the thing that will set you apart, is the vibe of your music, not the sound quality of your kick drum or how well it's side-chained to your bass.
100%.
I mean, I'd probably say that's partly out of, incompetence in a way, because I'm just set in my ways. And it's only, like I said, it's only recently that I've really started focusing on more traditional production techniques, just because I want to have everything in my arsenal. I want to be able to do, I want to be able to, I get quite a lot from people I work with. I mean, a lot of people won't have heard most of the music I've produced because it never, no one hears it. My management hear it and they you know, we're trying to write stuff, different things with it. We're trying to do more down tempo stuff, and you know,
How many tunes do you set aside before sending to your management? How many do you give them at a time? Because this is law of average time now.
well,
You know,
now it's turned into it'll be at least every day they get something. But
something, yeah.
before, when we were compiling everything, getting everything together and seeing what we've got and what we can work with, I don't know how much music's in there. Mickey has just organised.
He's
it
probably
all.
going out DJing at the moment.
Yeah.
He's like, let's check out my new tunes.
No, he's not that brave.
How much of them? Because you talk about the speed in which you work, and then giving them to your management and stuff. How many of these are fully fledged, like in terms of arrangement and layout?
Well, this is where I have to be careful what I say.
This is why I'm asking it.
Yeah, because some of it, obviously, I'm helping other people out and stuff. You know, it's a team. I'm going to do my best to do the best for the team. Yeah, so some of these things have been finished, but most of the time, what will happen is, I think I wrote one basically, I was doing a remix for someone. I won't mention who it is. I was doing a remix for someone, and the remix got rejected. So me and Mickey were talking about it and saying, you know, I was like, well, I feel like the track could be better anyway. I don't feel like it's like the best thing I could have done. She was like, oh, right, okay, well, what we'll do is we'll send it, we'll get some vocals for it and see if we can get something going with it. And again, it is literally just one of those ideas that's a single pad sustained with some bass notes and stuff. So it's probably not the easiest thing for a singer to write to, because there's nothing to go on. Yeah. But then I've ended up getting 2 acapellas back, which I've already used and finished for 2 other tracks that aren't that.
Oh, okay.
So this seems to be the way it's working. I'll be writing all these ideas, regardless of what they're for, and then I'm able to use them to generate other ideas.
Acapella's the person that it was originally for?
No.
Just
someone totally different. We've sent it out to some songwriters.
Right, and they've come back with acapellas.
Yeah, and they've said, this is what I've written, what do you think? And then I've gone and turned that into 2 now. I've had 2 full tracks finished, and both of them, I think both of them were finished within like 1 day each.
It's kind of the order of the day, isn't it? The whole acapella to a completely off-the-wall instrumental.
Yeah, and then you use that to make something else. To me, that's the art of remixing.
Yeah.
And that's where most people, myself included, practiced when you started. Yeah. Because when you started out, you had, when I started out especially, there were no YouTube tutorials. There was none of that. I wish there had been, but there was nothing. So you thought, right, where am I going to get vocals from? Right, then we'll have to search LimeWire or something for some samples, or we'll have to go through YouTube samples or for samples, or used to buy CDs off eBay. Used to go on eBay and type in acapella CD, and then you get a CD back with loads of acapellas.
Used to get them off like magazines and things like that.
Yeah, not anymore so much. Yeah, and then you would basically practice by making bootlegs of all the songs you loved. So then you've learned the art of remixing from that, and how to figure out how to put put like melodies to vocals. And
then it becomes ingrained within the musical process, if the bona fide version.
Exactly.
There's a poignant tune that springs to mind. Do you remember Switch did that tune, Still Love You? Do you remember that tune? That for me was like, she couldn't have sung on that. Mm-hmm. That was totally an acapella on a banging beat. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, this was like,
sweet,
that for me kind of changed the game when I think back now to what kind of was defined.
Mm-hmm. God, I love Switch.
I know, Switch is a bad man. His name comes up quite a few times.
Did you hear that Shaka Khan thing he's just done?
No, but I heard he doing stuff with
cool.
Shaka Khan.
It's really cool.
Toddlers.
It's really out there, one of them. Yeah.
Oh my God. Is it out there? Is it like, what?
Weird, yeah. But cool. I think it's people like... You see, that's part of how I got into house music, because I was DJing, like... I started off with hip-hop, because I've always loved hip-hop, and like old school hip-hop's like my thing. And then after that, I mean, I don't look like it. I don't look like I should be listening to old school hip-hop, skinny little Welsh fella.
Dude... I don't know how old you are, where you're from, but you've got a mind of experience. Let's put it that way. Yeah. You know, as you were, sorry.
Yeah, what were we talking about? Hip DJing. And then I was DJing like bonkers happy hardcore and stuff. That was mad, intense.
And this is what, growing up around kind of
North Wales. North Wales was a big happy hardcore thing, and I think I was a bit late.
Donk on it.
Yeah, I loved all that. I was a bit late for it, I think. And then this was when I was like 16. When I was about 15, it was hip hop. And 16, 17, I was trying to do stuff with Bonkers and Happy Hardcore and all that. And then this is really cringe, but I was in HMV in Chester, which is like the nearest. When we were kids, the nearest city to go to was Chester.
Just a little bit up the road, isn't it?
Yeah, that was like 40-minute train ride. That was like I'm a big boy now. I can go to Chester and I can spend some time in the city. They've got a HMV there. We haven't got one where we live.
Yeah.
So you'd go in, and I was looking through all the dance compilations, because that was what I would do, is buy dance compilations, because I didn't have that much money. So when I bought a dance compilation, I would just mix the tracks off it, even though they're already mixed, and just be like, practicing it. There's loads of records on here. I could just loop stuff and mix it. It doesn't matter.
That's awesome.
Because it didn't matter, does it?
No, of course it doesn't. Hey, listen, this is what people do now.
Exactly, yeah. Now you don't really...
That's awesome.
It was a long time with DJing dance music before I even realised unmixed versions of records were a thing. It was before I started buying vinyl and stuff properly, because I was only buying hip-hop vinyl. I never really bothered with dance music vinyl that much until I got to about 17, 18. And then...
Saved yourself some money when you, as well.
Yeah, lost it all now. Yeah. But all the vinyl's gone. I've got vinyl still, but not the original.
There's another conversation. Some of those hip-hop American imports.
I had Cannibal Ox, the what's the album called? Their first album.
Oh, the one on Raucous.
The grey cover. I can't remember what it's called.
I forgot what it's called. I know the one you mean.
Something Vain, is it? I can't remember. But yeah, bought that. That's worth loads now. Don't know where that is. Don't know where that ended up. But yeah, so I was in HMV looking around these CDs, and I randomly bought one called it was a Ministry of Sound Sessions, Nasty Dirty Sex Music. And being like a 16, 17-year-old lad, I was like, yeah, that's the one I want. That's cool. Got that, and that was where I first heard Switch. It was that remix of the Audio Bullies.
Yeah, dude.
That CD just changed it for me. Changed everything.
People sleep on the Audio Bullies, man. They were badass.
Even still. Yeah. Still are. Just done stuff with Hervé, haven't they?
Have they?
Yeah.
No. I haven't checked their stuff for a minute.
Yeah, as soon as I heard that, people like Jesse Rose, A-sided, love that record. As soon as I heard all that, it was like house music all the way. And then, it kind of just developed from there. I was completely obsessed with Switch. I saw him in Liverpool. It was like a screaming little girl. Saw him twice, and he was just... I remember it was when Ableton had just... People were first starting to use Ableton, and Switch used it, and he was playing it, I think, was it Chibuku or Circus? I can't remember which one it was now. Either or. This is like 10 years ago now. And he was playing on Ableton, and his laptop crashed. So in the middle of the set, it just went... because the audio driver had gone, and obviously it's ear-splitting sound. Everyone's like, "Way!" He went in his bag, got a stack of CDs out that weren't labelled. There was no like cases or nothing, just a stack of CDs, and just started playing off CDs instead. And then just he smashed it still.
I'm telling you, dude. Those are the kind of things that, heroes are made of in the club.
Yeah, you've got to... I mean, now we've got emergency loops and all that. It didn't used to have that. I think one of my
I've got the
first
beatbox.
gigs,
Whenever it goes wrong, it's just quick.
Just go way. Straight on it. Yeah, that's I wish I could do that. I think people would love it. Yeah. Well, one of my first gigs with a friend of mine, we were like a DJing duo, and what we would do.
Duo's name? What were they called?
Twiglet and Enzyme. I was Twiglet because I was just so ridiculously skinny, and he just liked the name Enzyme. You won't have heard of him because they never did. We played like maybe 5 or 6 gigs or something, maybe a few more. What we used to do is, because I was better at like the effect side of it and all the mixing, I would do that, and he was so good at beat matching that he would do the beat matching. This was all on records at the time.
So like similar to the Stanton Warriors kind of thing.
Yeah. Did you know they were the first DJs I ever saw live? That's another conversation. We were playing in this bar near where I lived in Colwyn Bay with my parents. And we were playing. Do you remember Firewire? Cosmic. Is it Cosmic Gate? Firewire?
Oh no.
Who makes it? And it goes Fire Wire. That anyway. It's like a big build up, and then it just goes Fire Wire. Like in the middle, totally on its own, and then it drops. Well, we'd bought this record, didn't realise it. Played it, it looped on the Firewire. So we could never get to the drop. It's like, we are never getting out of this. So you just instantly had to find another drop and then just drop it in instead. But, just things like that, you wouldn't have to contend with that now. Because as soon as it went wrong, the CDJ would just go, emergency loop.
Yeah.
And you would have a perfect 30-second or 15-second loop there to mix out of.
See, and for those of you that don't know that, and you're probably wondering why you're still on the dance floor now,
Yeah, still not dropped.
Still not
Still
dropped yet.
going.
That's
Place is
still going.
closed down now. That's probably why.
Yeah,
Still waiting for the drop, innit?
Still playing, yeah.
It was ridiculous. That.
Actually, that's where we first hooked up, wasn't it? First time we met properly is today,
Yeah.
officially. But
Yeah, well, never in London.
but but we've corresponded on the phone a bunch of times. And we met with courtesy of Stanton Warriors,
Yeah.
who we now know as an understanding that that was the first time you saw a live DJ outfit. These must have been mad.
I ever saw, yeah.
That must have been mad working with them.
I don't think they know it. I didn't want to say anything because I didn't want to make him feel old. I said, first time I ever went out, I saw you, Dom. I love you. I love you, Mark.
Hey, you're not the only one. Who did I? Nick Bridges.
All right, yeah.
From Body Rocks. He had the same thing.
I mean, I remember it clear as day, seeing him in it.
Talk about the craft and you talk about the business and because you've collaborated with a bunch of different people and you've spent a lot of time honing your craft. At what point does these multiple heads come in where you've got to think about yourself as a commodity, yourself as I've got to get the rent for this week, what am I going to do? I've got to stop doing this music.
This is only quite recent for me. Quite recently I've really screwed my head on and understood because basically my whole ethos behind doing this is, look, if the music's not good enough, then I'm not going to get anywhere. Yeah. So the music has to speak for itself.
At its core.
Yeah, because that's the whole point of doing this is the music. There's no point in. I mean, I'm not gonna sit on Instagram and show you everything I've eaten for the past 24 hours and show you exactly where I am and what I'm doing today. That's just not me. That's just not me. And it's only recently that I've understood that there is a large part to this industry. Arguably, it's now become more important than the music, which is the business side, which includes, social media and everything. And it's only recently that I've really realised that. I was quite naive, I think, because I'm 30 now. And I've been doing this for well over, DJing like 15 years. But making music, probably properly, like 10 years.
It's funny, isn't it? Because when I think of like your look outside looking in, your persona online, it's one of reputability in the sense that it's almost like your anonymity, especially in house music, especially in the genre, it actually plays key. Like back in the day, I wouldn't know what a Sasha looked like. No, I barely know what a Todd Terry looked like until something felt good in his soul. Do you know what I mean?
You're right. You hit on something though. The mystery's gone.
It's going. I think.
I don't think there's any. Obviously, there's acts who purposely hide themselves, and I think I was speaking to Todd Edwards recently about this and saying that he was saying, he speaks to Daft Punk and that, and we'd hit on it the same as he'd hit on it with Thomas from Daft Punk. That the mystery's gone. There's no everything's just there for you. It's like there's an artist you really like. You can see everything about their life. What you think their life is. It's all there. You'll see everything they're doing all the time, constantly. It's like the Kardashians. It's just flung in your face what they're doing all the time. How important their life is. But to me, that's again, it's just a distraction. It's not real. None of it's. I don't need to be this big persona and everything. I don't want to stand in front of a load of people going, look at this, look at me, I am great. I just want to make a record I like and share it with people. And to me, that's the essence of music, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a time and a place for everything. Like the people that deal with the back end of the technicality. We spoke about this just before camera. Like you relish that. Like you're very much a brainiac of like behind the scenes stuff, and you're quite happy to let that go.
Yeah, this is one thing my management said about me. Yeah. I just want to do what's best for. Unless I'm really, set on it and it's my thing and it's my baby and I want to release it, I'm more than happy to do what's best for the record. Because to me, that's the point, isn't it? Sharing music. There's no point.
It takes the ego away, and then
which I can't understand that when people are. My name has to be on this. And I don't really care if you know who I am or not. It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't. I'm not walking around thinking, look at everyone, look at me. Yeah, I'd love it if you all just recognise me. I'm not bothered. It doesn't. I'd rather not be known. I'd rather be that person in the back. I probably should have DJ'd with a mask on. Should have gone down the Jaguar Skills route. No one had known who I was. But even then, I don't have the confidence to do that because I think that takes some bucks to do that.
But you're DJing down here.
Yes, tonight. Yeah. It's the UKF Nightbass thing. Yeah.
Nice. That's a regular thing for theirs, isn't it?
I think UKF do the on air, like the live thing, quite regularly. But obviously, Nightbass it's American, isn't it? Yeah. But obviously, they need to get it more over here, I think, and I think that is the plan. Yeah. But it's sold out, so they must be doing something right. Like AC Slater's he's created a monster.
Tearing, and then
fair play to him. He's a good lad.
And Jack Beats can be there too.
Yep, Jack Beats can be there. Yeah.
Boys,
first time meeting him.
Yeah. Oh,
I played with them once in a town near mine, but I didn't really get to speak to them because obviously.
Tell Benny I say hello, won't you?
I will do.
That's my boy. He used to live just down there.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're all just in this little area. It's
Yeah.
weird, isn't it?
I know.
It is mad. There's no one where I live.
Yeah, but you know
Although
what?
Chris Lake used to come to... This is a weird story.
Go on.
Where I lived with my parents, Chris Lake, who's now become a friend, he's a really nice guy. This is how I know all this, is he used to work, make music with two fellas. He lived 2 doors down from my mum. And I would see his car outside all the time. He had, I think it was a purple Ford Escort, something, or Ford something. And he would always come down, and this was just before he'd made changes. And then obviously he made changes, and he blew up, and his life changed forever. But yeah, weird.
That's mad.
Weird.
Actually, there are a couple of other house guys that are just near you in St Helens, I think.
Yeah, it's not too far.
The Who?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just over there.
Yeah, that's not too far, yeah. I tend to be quite isolated where I am, which again, I think lends to the way I've developed my sound over time, because... just on my own in my little studio, in my little world,
totally
figuring stuff out.
And that's kind of the way. That's kind of the way it should be.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, obviously, everyone just do what they do.
Yeah,
be happy doing it.
Ladies and gentlemen, the man himself, the man, the myth, the legend, the Jay Robinson.
Thanks for
coming down, brother. Thank you.
No
so
problem.
much
Thank you for having me. It's been great. Yeah, it's been good.
What a good chat.
Yeah,
What a good chat.
Was that an hour?
Oh, we're ahead of the game on this one.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah, man. Stay lucky, people. Killa podcast. You know it.
Yeah. Nice one.